It is currently 5 in the morning, and we are here at the BWI airport. I'm here with Kaylin, who at this early hour in the morning is just looking like the picture of an energetic spring chicken. You can tell that she's ready to run through a wall right now. As for the parents, can't really say the same. Alright, so we're here at Boston. We've just arrived.
Kaylin's taking an exam.
Kaylin's taking an exam and we're pulling out the map. What are we seeing on this map? Show me.
Here be the airport over in here somewhere.
What's this body of water?
It is a river.
Which river?
It's called the Charles River, I believe.
Charles.
Named after Prince Charles.
Oh yeah. Named after Charles Entertainment Cheese, aka Chuck.
There's the airport, that's where we are. We have to go over here and go over.
We have to swim across the water right here.
Mm-hmm. We have to part the seas, and then we have to walk in the dry bed in between, right? Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to go, I think,
It's a Freedom Trail. It's like dark.
we're going to go down this
There's a
trail.
Black Heritage Trail in the blue.
Where's Cambridge is right here.
Yeah.
Here is where we will be sleeping.
Because I had just about no sleep before getting on the plane, I decided to try to take a nap on one of those chairs designed explicitly for people not to try to take naps on them. It was about as comfortable as you might expect. Alright, Kaylin, turn around. Smile.
Are you videotaping?
Alright, so we are currently eating outside this Israeli food chain called Rami.
Kaylin, thank you.
I wouldn't call it a chain.
Well, okay, it's actually just a store and a restaurant. And they also own this juice and salad bar. And we all got some shawarma. Kaylin, what did you get?
What did you get, Kaylin?
I got an impossible burger.
An Impossible
Oh, she got an
Burger.
Impossible Burger.
Very interesting.
At like things.
After lunch, having already linked up with a cousin who was local to the area named Ben, we decided to take a walk around Beacon Hill, which is a notable location for a number of its famous historical residents, including Henry David Thoreau, Sylvia Plath, and more recently, John Carey. Quite a star-studded ensemble in this beautiful neighborhood. All right, we're here on the campus of Harvard University.
And here's John Harvard.
This one's for the vlog. So,
Not John Harvard.
this is not John Harvard?
This is
A guy.
No.
So nerdy. That's the Statue of Free Lies. And it's not John Harvard.
Well-
It wasn't founded in 1638. It was founded in 1636.
Wow.
This is false information.
And he didn't.
Fake news.
Yeah. And it was actually, it was deeded and approved in 1635. The land was donated in 1634 by our
When it
ancestor.
was given, probably. When it was
That's crazy.
Richard
And who even is this
Parker,
guy
RTD.
then, if he's not John Harvard?
Maybe it's Richard.
guy
It's one, of the, it's one of the students of the sculptor.
The Henry
Ah.
Henry Bond Bonner Ron
Bonner Brunson.
Interesting, interesting.
That guy. He knew somebody who said, hey, I'll sit there and pretend like I'm Harvard.
Well, there's a cool little tidbit for you. Next up, one of the most famous landmarks on the Harvard University main campus. This is Widener Library, which has been around since 1915. Those marble steps I just ran up have been around since the beginning of this library's existence. You can see a bunch of dark markings, they look like skid marks, going up the whole length of these stairs. That's actually imprints from years of wear and tear from the footsteps of the students climbing up and down the stairs.
Ben, what's the significance of these stairs again? He goes, I don't know why I went up the
Well, this is the main Harvard Library. Harvard
Okay, that's right. This is
Library.
the main Harvard Library.
Still recording?
Yes.
Alright, keep going.
Do you know how to swim? can
Gee,
tread
I didn't
water.
know I'd be interrogated.
If
Well,
you want to go to the school, you need to know how to swim.
that's all right. You know, you can save the
Thanks to this-
$80,000 a year.
Thanks to this guy.
Because I don't want to go to this preppy Ivy League that isn't even open.
Oh, you couldn't get in anyway, so just get over yourself.
All right, so it's evening now of our first day in Boston, and we're just taking a little walk around the town. We've noticed that these trees are wrapped in bundles of wood for some just inscrutable reason.
We go left
And it
again?
looks like it continues
And then
just about everywhere.
It's a more direct right way. I think we're doing this.
Probably, but I didn't pick Cambridge.
I wasn't blaming you. I was just saying. I know I wasn't blaming you. Just saying that the GPS is giving us a weird breakout.
See, we do not understand the purpose of this wood. My hypothesis was that it keeps the trees. Well, that's what I thought, but except that they don't. So, so it's not working.
It is a government contract, is what it probably is, where somebody's making some money. They're probably related to a politician,
It's
and they got bid on a contract
it's the
for
big
millions of dollars to put pieces of wood against a tree.
it's the big plank industry
Yeah.
pulling the strings. I want to take a brief pause to admire the aesthetic of this building right here, which contains not one, not two, but 3 bells stacked on top of each other. I really admire how the one on the top is the biggest, and then they go in descending order to the bottom. It may be a church. It's very interesting. It's also a rather tall bell tower compared to the rest of the building. But you know, this is like the 8th wonder of the world in my book. Let's keep going.
It's dark.
Right now we are walking around in the downtown Boston area. We're in the Haymarket area, Haymarket Street, I believe.
It's a Haymarket Square that has a big.
Oh. Yes, there's a big market over there. It's like a farmer's market type thing, and a lot of construction, as you can see. So today we're going to be headed to the aquarium
From the north end.
from the north end. Wait, we're headed from the north end to the aquarium?
Yeah, we got off at the north end. We met some local guy named Jose and his wife took us here to right at Haymarket Square so we can walk down to the aquarium from here.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at the whales.
There's the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yes, I see the Hard Rock Cafe. There is Hard Rock Cafe. So we're gonna have a great time on the water today. Or maybe just peering into the water, I'm not sure. But it's gonna be great. Alright, this is the boat that we're about to ride on. It's pulling into the harbor right now. It's got a giant gap on the underside.
That's for the whales to come up and smile at you through the clear glass on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They go up and they smile at you.
So true.
They lift the boat up in there to get underneath.
They do actually. There's
You know, you stick your face against your lips against the glass.
Yes. There's currently whales underneath the boat propelling it along. It's actually not running on an
You can
engine.
feed them. You can
Yep.
like drop them crumbs.
It is like that one Doctor Who episode, exactly.
Look.
Alright, so
Go ahead and look.
we were basically like the first group to board, so
It's
we're
gonna be like 30 degrees cooler once we get underway. Kenny, you want to go see upstairs and see if it's open or if there's a covering? I don't think there's covering. Sorry.
we were one of the first groups to board the boat.
And where did WC didn't check to see why.
And so as a consequence, the boat is currently kind of quiet and a little bit empty. So we're going to introduce what we're going to be looking at while we're in the boat.
Sure.
That's the diagram right there of all the whales. As you can see, we could be looking at the fin whale, I can't really read it, to be honest. I'm just kind of far away. But anyway, we're going to be looking at those whales.
Right whale, humpback whale. Is that wrong way? Mini whale.
It's the right whale and the left whale. So we're going to see the right whale over here, and we're going to see the left whale over there. All right.
Humpback whales are a type of baleen whale that I was mentioning earlier, but baleen whales, they don't have any teeth. So they have these long plates made of keratin, so the same stuff as your fingernails and your hair. They have about 400 of these plates tightly packed together all along their upper jaws. So even though this whale is about the size of a yellow school bus, they're feeding on very, very small animals. Very small Actually, this humpback whale just came up right behind us at our 6 o'clock. All right, so over by our 3 o'clock now.
Yeah. There it is. Come on, hold still. Yeah, I got it.
What you're about to see now is a rare sight of a baby pin whale swimming with its mother. It just poked its tail out of the water there. And now you're about to see the blue outline of its body right underneath the surface of the water. There it is, swimming, swimming, swimming. And here comes its head. Right there. So our tour guide, the guide who was leading the ship, was actually super excited. She completely freaked out. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep the audio because of the sound from the wind and stuff, but she said she had never seen anything like it before. So we've just arrived in front of this big, tall building. Do you want to describe what it is?
That is Faneuil Hall, and that's Quincy Market, and that's that area down in there where it's the touristy area. It's got a lot of the start of the Freedom Trail and things that happen down there.
All right, say hello to that little farmer's market again. We are passing by it on our way to Faneuil Square.
We got to go right here.
Yep, that's where we're going.
Here we go.
So we're gonna see what's in here. Oh wow! Look at all that. Take it all in.
Leather chop. Krabby Jack's General Store.
A lot of these are closed.
Look like they have in English. French and Spanish. Faneuil Hall.
That's Portuguese. The Faneuil Hall of today is now both a historical landmark and an active shopping district. Vendors have places set up all over the building. Alright, so we're officially on the Freedom Trail. We just came back from the Faneuil Hall, which in the 18th century was like a market square. This right here is the old state house. It's the one that's being dwarfed by that giant black nightmare right there. So this was where in the 1760s they protested the writs of assistance. And obviously again, like it was a state house. And then there's like a cobblestone circle right there that people are standing around taking pictures on. That was where the Boston Massacre actually happened. So that was when there was like a snowball fight gone wrong with the British soldiers that were being quartered in the area. People started throwing chunks of ice at them, and then there was some drinking going on, and it escalated, and then that was considered like the Boston Massacre. It was like 5 people died or something. So that was the Boston Massacre. Kind of a big deal, I guess, in hindsight. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next step of the Freedom Trail. All right. This is the next stop on the Freedom Trail. Set the scene. Where are we?
All right, we're at the Old South Meeting House. Apparently it was the largest building in colonial Boston. And it was a meeting house for Puritans, my ancestors. And they came here on December 16th, 1773, led by Patriot Sam Adams, to launch the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party was planned, and people met here to figure out how to execute their plan.
Yep, while he was working on developing his beer franchise, right, Kaylin?
Yep.
Sam Adams. So over here at this next stop, past the sign where they are once again desecrating the sacred, please explain to us what this stop is.
This stop
It says King's Chapel.
is the King's Chapel. The King's Chapel was a church, a church of loyalists. It was the Anglican Church of Boston.
The Brits.
And they're the people who sided with England or Great Britain during the time of the Revolutionary War, and when the war broke out, mostly they went to England or Nova Scotia to escape the war because they were loyalists on the side of
Britain.
Britain.
The British.
It later became a Unitarian church, and that is what it is represented by today.
That makes sense, hence the sign.
Hence the sign. And there's also a burial ground here somewhere, which we're going to try to find.
Okay.
Caleb.
Onward and outward. All right, so the next stop, not more than like 15-20 feet away, is this burial ground here. We can see such famous names as
John Winthrop.
John Winthrop. And
He was, Nathaniel Hawthorne.
oh, yes.
Scarlet.
Yes, he did. He sure did.
Yeah.
No gravestone rubbing, do not sit or lean on tombs or gravestones, no alcoholic beverages, no dogs allowed. However, if you want to walk your cat, your hamster, or your rabbit, I think
Apparently it's locked.
You're
You can't get in
okay.
Anyway. Wonder if any of my relatives are buried here. Probably not, because they were not Anglicans. They were against the Anglican Church.
okay.
My family was Puritan.
Hold up. Jacob Sheaf, John Winslow, Mary Chilton, who is in the Mayflower, and she was the wife of John Winslow. Major Thomas Savage, Lady Andros, Captain Roger Clapp. What's up with these funny names?
None of these people were my
Thomas Brattle, Professor John Winthrop, James Lloyd, and Charles Bullfinch. And finally, William Dawes Jr., who was a patriot and son of liberty, April 6, 1745 to February 25th, 1799. So William Dawes Jr. died at the end of George Washington's second term in office.
Yeah, none of these people were related to us.
Okay. Very, very cool.
All Anglican. My people were not Anglican. Our people were not Anglican. Our people were Puritans.
We hate the British.
We hate the Anglican Church. They
Yeah.
kicked us out of the country because we were the wrong kind of Protestant. So, yeah, that's that.
This swing is busted. After we finished looking at a few of the stops on the Freedom Trail, we decided to take a look at the Boston Aquarium. This right here is a video of the touch tank, which has a bunch of de-stinged stingrays, as well as some manta rays, and a couple of small species of shark, like dogfish. So here's a shark pup, they're apparently called. This one seems to be a baby form of the Epaulette Shark that we saw in the ray tank. It's very small and cute. Okay, so this is another Epaulette Shark, and it's in an egg case due September 9th, and it's actually very far along in the little gestation period. So this is crazy. We've gone back a step in this life cycle here, and you can actually see the creature swimming around inside of the egg. That's really cool. You can see it kind of thrashing around, possibly listening to some like EDM or dubstep or something. Really just raving, going crazy in that egg case. You can tell this shark is loving life. Yeah. Alright, so we're here in the next part of the aquarium. We're looking at sea lions. A few of them right there. A couple of them are on Pride Rock over yonder. They're just playing around, having a good time. You can get a little closer over here looking at them. You know, they just look like big old friendly dogs. Anyway, that's sea lions. Some of these penguins are having a little bit of a domestic dispute. Let's see if we can catch them in the action.
Watch the one on the left. The hair extensions. Off my hill. My hill. My hill.
So this thing right here is actually a fish, and you can see its eyeball. But at first glance, it kind of just looks like a shoelace. We don't even know what it is because there's no
Shoelace
sign
fish.
for it. But we're going to call it a shoelace fish. Very, very cool. So the rule with frogs is that if they're pretty looking and very colorful, they're incredibly poisonous, and the more pretty they are, the more dangerous they are. But with fish, it seems to be the opposite, because this dude is one ugly mug. But this is one of the most deadly fish in existence.
Spotted scorpion fish.
Okay, so in direct contrast to the fish we were talking about and looking at earlier, these are some gorgeous, gorgeous frogs. But if you touch these dudes, you will die.
Target located. Enemy spotted.
So, that's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna reach out and, Okay, so we are at our next landmark on the Freedom Trail. Kaylin, explain to us where we are.
We're at the Old North Church. I will speak for Kaylin. It is on the corner of Salem and Hull Street. It is the place where
People go to church.
people go to church, but in the 1700s it was the first church of Boston. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow memorized Old Norse roll in the Revolutionary War, and he wrote the poem The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, which talked about, like, one if by land, two if by sea, putting the lights in the belfry and shining them to let the people of Boston know which way the British were invading, where they're coming from. And so this is the place. It's on a high hill. We walked up a pretty high hill to get up here. So the Belfry Tower, which is all the way up there at the top, that light in the belfry could be seen across Boston at the time. So it is a Georgian style house, and it's, here it is. And now it's an Episcopal church, and it's called Christ Church, but it used to be called the Old North, well, it was the Old North Church.
Okay, very cool. So we are right now in the courtyard of the Paul Revere house. This right here is the original building. Of course, it's been, I'm sure, modified to be preserved, maybe with some more modern building materials. And then there's also an attachment over there, which might be the gift shop or something like it. So Paul Revere, of course, was the organizer of a team of Minutemen to alert the colonists about the British arrival on the Boston Harbor. And he was also a very active member of, like, the Sons of Liberty and the Freemasons and all that. He was also the owner of a small steel and copper factory. And after he was done living in this property, he actually rented it out to people. So he was a very industrious guy. And we're going to be taking a look. He actually paid for tickets to take the tour, and we're going to be taking a look inside. So, but first, I'm going to give you a couple more facts about this building.
So this building was originally built in 1680, and it was first owned by a wealthy Puritan businessman named Robert Howard. And actually, Paul Revere's family bought it in 1770 when it was almost 100 years old at that point. Originally, it was thought to be a large and spacious home of a family of wealth, but by the time he owned it, it was considered to be a little bit less in fashion. And although he did some repairs and renovations on it, it certainly wasn't what would be considered like an opulent home. It was a modest home of an upper middle class family in the 1700s. During the time that he owned it, he lived and owned it for more than 30 years, but the last part of that, he did not actually live here. He had the top part rented out to a lot of immigrants, and the bottom part was made into shops. It was set to be demolished at the early 1900s, and so it was bought by his great-grandson and then renovated, and it opened to the public in 1908 as a museum and tribute to Paul Revere.
So we are here. This sign says the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum. So this would have been, I guess, roughly the location of the actual Boston Tea Party. So when the Sons of Liberty came and they were dressed up, I believe they were dressed up in, like, Native American costumes and like war paint, the whole 9 yards. And they hijacked like a British East India Company tea ship, and they took the crates of tea and they basically, chopped them up with axes and threw them out over to the harbor. And that was protesting. It was protesting a number of things, but the British were basically forcing the colonists to only purchase East India tea, and they were also putting tremendous amounts of tax on said tea, and that was a big staple of the colonial diet. So they were very frustrated with what was going on. But as you can see here, they're actually letting people simulate throwing the tea into the harbor. They've got these boxes that are on like pulleys on string, and people are actually like tossing them overboard and then bringing them back in. So that's very cool. And I guess if we were to go over in this direction, it would be a museum and a shop. So we're gonna take a look in there. It's gonna be great. Okay, so we're out here, and today it's actually about 93 degrees Fahrenheit, which is record-breaking heat for Boston, and it's only getting hotter.
It's gonna get to 97.
It's supposed to get to 97 today?
Yes.
Wow, that is actually incredible. So, right over here is, I believe it's called the Frog Pond, and I have my bathing suit, and I'm feeling about ready to hop on in there and start splashing around because it is hot.
This is in where, Daniel? What is this area?
Yeah, this is we just came up Beacon Hill, and this is the Boston Common area. So we're gonna take a dive. We're gonna get wet. This swing is busted.